Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the IWillAim Podcast. Our topic for today is living authentically. What does it truly means to live authentically? And why does it matter so much in leadership? I'm joined by Dr. Jennifer Bryant, author of Step into Leadership Greatness, Be a Force Multiplier. Together, we'll explore how authentically can unlock influence, transform teams, and help you step boldly into your own leadership greatness. If you have never if you ever wonder how to lead with both impact and integrity, this conversation is for you. Welcome, Dr. Bryant.
Thank you, Will. How are you?
Good, good. Looking forward to our conversation. But can we kick it off with a quick introduction so my audience would know more about you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I am Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant. I have over 37 years of day job work, right? And so I retired from the federal government with 31 years of service, moving from clerk typist and retiring as an executive director. And then I went over to a Fortune 100 company and worked there for 6 years, and so it's been a year now in which I said I'm going to bet on myself. And so reaching from within an empowerment journey has been in existence for 8 years now. And
Hmm.
so, like I said, I've been operating it for the last year. And I focus on mid career women, helping them to elevate to the next level, to embrace who they are, their voice, their authentic voice, and to make an impact and influence to get them to that next level, whether it's promotions or get them into rooms that they're normally not in. That's me.
Well, thank you for actually highlighting the perfect avatar to work with you.
Yes.
If you meet that avatar, you're the mid level and mid your career. You're looking for a way to propel you to the next level. Reach out to Dr. Jennifer Brian Jones Bryant and have a conversation with her. Let's kick off our discussion with the title, Living Authentically. What does it mean to say living authentically? And how has that shaped and embraced your journey?
Living authentically comes with, does your or do your words, action, and values all align?
Hmm.
Are you walking the talk? Are you modeling the way? And what I found to be where I was most vulnerable, and I know we're going to talk about that a little bit,
Yeah.
uh, into the program, was when I actually showed up authentically me in a corporate setting, right? In a professional setting. And I was attracted to and drawn, people were drawn and attracted to me. Opportunities were drawn and attracted to me that it aligned with who I was as a person.
Let's talk about showing up in your true self. Many people struggle with showing up with their true self, including myself when I was in the corporate world. What are the common barrier that you've seen, and how can leader overcome them?
So the common barrier, I believe, and I'm going to take it further in the dimension, and you probably can identify with that, and the listeners can too. Sometimes when you are from a diverse background, it comes with narratives, it comes with customs, it comes with traditions, and I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I was always told to respect whomever is in.
Same here.
Right at the higher level, but respect everyone, but respect them and be careful with your words and how
Yeah.
you show up. So that has always been stuck in my head. And that also served as a barrier to actually show up as my true self because I had thoughts. And when leaders start asking me, Jen, what are your thoughts? And I had to figure out ways to say things if it went against what they were saying. So it was important for me to get mentors to kind of talk through different scenarios to figure out, okay, in this scenario, if I don't agree, how do I approach that? This is my approach. What feedback do you have from me? And so what I found is that when I disagreed with a leader, I shared with them, these are my thoughts for consideration. Here are some options. Here's why. And what usually get their attention is the risk. I bring up, okay, if we go that way, it could have an impact. And here's the risk. And I make it more focused on logic and data rather than an emotional response. And I had to learn to get there. This didn't happen overnight, Will. I had to learn to get there.
Well, thank you for sharing that you first express your thought as a opinion and suggestion,
Yes.
or and then you offer it up. And then I love the fact that you talk about focusing on the data and not the emotion. And I totally agree with you. It takes a long time to learn that, but it's important for our listener to really learn that it's okay to share your thoughts in a suggestion. And you gave them a perfect sample. And I totally agree with you. Growing up, my parents always said, don't tell your boss, something that don't agree with what they said, because they know better. And for the
Yes.
longest time in my career, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I go back to my desk and I was sitting there like, oh, yeah, that's going to be bad.
Right.
We need to
Right.
figure out how we work around it or how we work through it. And it's a lot of like personal anxiety and struggle, because you kind of see something, but the person that you work for probably either don't have that open door
Yes.
policy, and
Yes.
then you're like I said, I couldn't bring my true self there. But later on in my career, I start learning how to do that properly. Not as savvy as you did, as you do, and I love that the audience learning from you. And really, it's important for them to learn to share their thoughts as a suggestion, and more importantly, what you highlight, the risk. What's the risk?
Yep.
Right? If we
What's
don't
the
do it,
risk?
what's
And
the
it
risk?
gets their attention, Will. And I had one leader that kind of opened the door for me, and she said, Jen, just say the thing. Say the thing.
Wow, that's the door open.
Well, here I go.
Be careful what you said. But I love leaders that are truly comfortable in themselves. Only true leader that are comfortable in themselves are able to tell you that. Because the
Yes.
leader that are not comfortable in themselves, they felt like, wow, you're one up me. You're trying to tell me you're better. And I think those are the type of situation where you couldn't show up your true self.
And
Let's
I've been in those type of situations before.
Yes, it's hard. It's very difficult. Let's now move on a little bit to talk about your book, because your book, Step into Leadership Greatness, Be a Force Multiplier. Great. I love the concept of multiplier, because leaders multiply. They don't just add value and grow leaders. Can you describe the idea of being a force multiplier, and how can our audience learn from that?
Absolutely. So we talked about earlier about the leader modeling the way, showing the way, and it is okay to embrace your imperfections. You don't have to be perfect, and showing that to others is a strength. And it's showing your vulnerability as well to let them know that they can be vulnerable too. And so creating that space, but also being that beacon of light to help that next leader get to the next, because you can't be everywhere. So this book is about scaling your leadership, right? Scaling your leadership, allowing folks to show up as themselves and being that advisor for them, right? Like you're not hovering over them, you're giving them guidance, you're giving them intent. And let them breathe and become innovative and creative. So, being a force multiplier is about, it's not all about you. It's not all about your ego. It's sort of like creating a succession plan too, right? Like what
Yep.
does your leadership team look like? How can you scale your team horizontally and laterally?
I love the concept of being an advisor, right? Because being an advisor, you're comfortable in your skin, you're modeling the way, you're helping people. Because that concept is extremely powerful for leader to remember. And like you said, if you're a leader and you want to apply living authentically, model the way. Do what you say you would do, and don't
Right.
say something and do something else, because that's really going to confuse a lot of people. So thank you for highlighting that. If our listener wants to start applying the lessons from your book, what's the best way for them to apply them with impact?
So what I will say, the key thing about this book, I'm going to bring it up again. I'm going to actually flip it. because each of these leaders created like the force multiplication in their organizations as executives, senior leaders from academia, federal government, corporate, you name it. They tell their stories. And as a part of telling their stories is call to action. So they give strategies and then they give a call to action so the reader can implement what they read. And then they're reading it from credible industry experts who once walked the walk and talked the talk. And so this book will serve as an instrument for that.
So how did they pivot from where they are now and to where they need to be? Because sometimes it's scary to take that first step. What's your suggestion or advice for them to develop that courage?
To develop that courage, I know you've heard, or you may not have heard, the phrase having a board of directors.
Yep,
And
I had mine.
me too. So, creating your board of directors where you surround yourself with a safe space. So, who do you trust to have these conversations about, again, going back to an approach that you may want to take, an opportunity you want to take? I'll give you an example. When I was in corporate, showing up as my authentic self, an opportunity presented itself and said, Jen, and I got an email out of the blue, say, hey, we would love for you to lead this women's business resource group with 24,000 members.
Wow.
I was like, what? Talking about scaling your leadership, Will. I was like, what? Me? Imposter syndrome came in.
Yes.
Me? So, but then I had to true back to who am I authentically? What impact do I want to leave? And so I went to my board of directors, which included my first line supervisor who I'd known over 10 years. And I shared my concerns. I shared where I was like, ugh, I don't know if I should do this. How is this going to help me? Is this a stretch opportunity for me? You talked about feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was uncomfortable. But the cool part about it, as I mentioned, I got to talk to several people in my board of directors, and I got to read more about the business resource group, research it. Doing your research is incredibly important. What are people saying? What are you seeing visually? What kind of impact you think you can make? And so I took maybe a week or two to think about it, and I did it. I did it. It was scary. I did it though. And I did it scared, as they say. I did it scared.
Well, you highlight a few things that I want to reiterate. Number one, read up and research. Number two, reach out to your board of director or people you trust. Because some of our listeners probably had no idea what board of director. Like
Yes.
people you trust, people in your life you trust could be definitely your spouse, your mentor, your coach,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Those people, reach out to them. And number three, do it scared. Do it scared because I love that you shared that particular example because it allows people to relate to it, right? Especially imposter syndrome. Let's talk about that a little bit because a lot
Sure.
of people get stuck because they worry so much the idea that I'm gonna fail.
Yes.
What are they gonna say that I'm gonna
Yes.
fail? Because I don't think I'm
Yes.
the right person. So what is the best way for people to overcome that? It's not easy. It's not gonna be like that. But in your
Yeah, it's not easy. The cool part in my instance is that um the person who I co-led this with, she was starting the same time I was. So we had very good energy. So we were able to bounce things back and forth. I told her where I stood. She told me where she stood. We both were vulnerable in that moment. The other piece too is I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier about embrace imperfections. So I told the person who extended the offer to me, the executive sponsor, I said, look, here are some things. I've never done this to this level
yeah,
before. And here are my concerns. Here are my fears. But here are some things that I can bring to the table. And she kept me at ease. She also showed that she trusted us. Whenever we would pull together our strategy or programming, we always kept her in the loop. But she showed up and said, I trust you. And even if I got something not right, I've learned to fail fast and fail forward. People need to see that you're okay with failing, right? Like you tried it, it didn't work, or you made a mistake, it didn't work. Another growth opportunity. I used to ruminate on failure. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Really came down hard on myself. And then I was like, you know what? Let me reframe this as a learning opportunity. Grab what I learned from that failure and move on. So part of coming out of that imposter syndrome was partnership, collaboration, and trust.
You brought up a couple excellent points. The first one is trust. Having that trust is an immensely powerful means to allow you to move forward. And then you talk about failing fast and failing forward, because that's extremely important, because you're failing forward, you failed and you start from experience, and many people don't understand that. They're like, when you fail you start from the start again. No, 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 you failed. If you learn your lesson, you failed and start from your experience, and that's a
Exactly.
very powerful message for our audience to hear. And the last part is keep moving forward. Just learn and move forward, because sometimes, like you said, we could be too hard on ourselves, and guess what? We're the only one hard on ourselves.
Yes.
Everyone's waiting for you to move them in the right direction, and you're just
Yes.
dealing with this emotion and anxiety, but it's just you, not everyone else. So knowing
Correct.
that, I think, is really important. My next question for you is: there's, I believe that every person has a story in them, and you decided to be an author. What inspired you to write this book?
And actually, this book is the third one in the Step into Leadership Greatness series. And as I was thinking about my exit plan from corporate, I started thinking a little bit further and saying, what level of impact can I leave? What message do I want to convey to others? And that message surrounded how can we help the current leaders? How can we help future generations? And this is the roadmap to help them to do so, because they're hearing and listening to other people's stories, because it's available in Audible as well, about lessons that they learned. And so that was truly my inspiration, is wanting to scale my leadership and have this book to reach people and places that I may not ever meet in person, but they'll be able to be in the privacy of their home or riding in their car, and they get to experience these stories. And hopefully, something is relevant to them, and that it resonates with them. Because as I read each of the stories, I was like, oh, I had some aha moments as well.
Well, thank you for sharing your gifts to the world. I think the world needs to hear the stories and learn from all of you. I think that's immensely powerful. And it also takes courage to actually put yourself out there. I want to commend you for that. That's not
Thank you.
easy to do, but I really want to commend you for leading the way. The next question I have is: I always love to reflect on situation. When you look back at your career, what made you decide to do what you want to do now?
I think it was a series of things. As part of my board of director, I also have a financial advisor. So we talked about exit plans and what I can do. I also talked about my passions with my executive coach and how I can make a difference. I will tell you, this last year has not been easy, because certain opportunities I thought would come did not, because of the current climate, right? And
Totally
so
agree.
I had to have a conversation with myself in the last month and said, you know what, Jen? Pivot. Focus on local, focusing with, doing business within your state, and see what impact. I mean, I'm still continuing to have collaboration and partnership with folks, and they're putting me on their bench as an executive coach and potential consultant. But overall, my focus of leaving was, I want to bet on myself without any restrictions.
Wow, that's powerful. And I want our audience to remember betting on yourself. It's one of the things you should do at some point in your career. Maybe not, if you could do it early on, even better. But if you did not, now is the time to start betting on yourself and start thinking about what you want to do future. As Dr. Bryant did, she pivoted and now she's making an impact to the world. For the listener who may feel stuck right now and unsure about their path, what's your message to them?
My message to them is, you got what it takes. Just get quiet and still. If you have to journal it, voice record, talk about your big why of what you want to do, where you're trying to go. Are there gaps that are there in terms of you leveling up, upskilling, taking, advantage of professional development? Identify those. If you see a role, someone sitting in a role or a position, pull up with them and ask, hey, can I grab coffee, tea with you, virtual coffee or tea for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and say, I admire what you're doing and it looks like you are having an impact. I would love to learn from you in terms of what it took to get there. I've done it throughout my career, having those conversations.
I think that's a excellent advice. Right? Taking the time to ask someone for 15-30 minutes of their time, either coffee and a tea, to, like I said, you admire what they're doing and you want them sort of to be your mentor. Right? I think
Yep.
that to me is extremely powerful. I want you to give me an opportunity to reach, if my audience wants to reach out to you for coaching and workshop and public speaking opportunity, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Reachingwithinempowerment.com. They can also send me an email at jennifer@reachingwithinempowerment.com. And they can schedule a 15-minute strategy session so we can map out what package makes sense for you. And then I have training classes as well. So if they call me, reach out to me to make an appointment, I can steer them into a customized package.
Thank you, Dr. Brian, for your time. I really appreciate having you on my podcast. Thank you and have a good day.
All right. Thank you so much. This has been an honor and a privilege.
I'm so blessed to have you. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.